My people, Ruto ameamua ni long term, si 2 term.
Hakuna.
We, tusikize hii ingine mwecheche.
To move Kenya from a third world country to a first world country before I die. It's possible. In the next, by the time I get to 90, Jesus. Kenya should be a first world country. Yes. And that is just about 30 years from now. It's possible. Others have done it. I am very confident we will do it.
We, nyi watu, ni kubaya. Munalia hapo hivyo mkisema 1 term. Na yeye anasema 2 term, lakini saa hii hataki hata sasa 2 terms. Anataka term 6.
Kwa miaka 30 ijayo, Kenya hii itabadilika. Tutaondoa umaskini. Tutahakikisha kwamba kuna nafasi ya ajira ya vijana wetu. Tutakuza uchumi na tutakuwa na chakula ya kutosha. Kenya iweze kupiga hatua ya kwenda mbele.
This was not a slip of the tongue.
Oh my God.
Anataka 6 terms. Hebu sikiza hiyo video. 30 years. Angalia hiyo kitu. Nyinyi mko mnasema tu anataka 2 term, mnataka mumpatie 1 term. Hapana, yeye sasa anataka 6. 30 years. Listen to that. Mungu wangu.
Bwana, kama hawa jamaa niliwapanga wakiwa na deep state na system na nini. Anyway, wacha nisilete siasa nyingine ambayo wachana na hiyo story. Sijui kama tumekubaliana wangwana wa Nairobi.
Hi fam. Your comedian president is at it again with yet another comic episode.
We must do it. E-housing, we must do it. Imagine Singapore was like Kenya 60 years ago. Today in Singapore, 95% of people are homeowners. They are in the first world. In Kenya, it is the opposite. 7 million people are living in slums. We are in the third world. We are going to change this country. Believe you me. Hii inchi tutaibadilisha. We have what it takes as a nation. There is no reason why we cannot catch up with Singapore, Malaysia, South Korea. There is no reason we can catch up with them if we just make the right decisions. And I'm going to go out of my way to make sure we make those decisions.
Bruh, stop dreaming. Because while you're busy dreaming of turning Kenya into Singapore, Singaporeans are busy designing their future. If we need to copy their Singaporeans' blueprint to develop Kenya and grow our infrastructure and everything, then we need to start with principles, integrity. We need to cut corruption, because in Singapore, the rule of law is applied equally to everyone. But in Kenya, impunity is the common norm. So we are not going to make Kenya like Singapore. Singapore rewards meritocracy, while in Kenya we reward connections and those who are loyal to you, the loyalists. That's what our government basically does. If you look at their infrastructure and the things that they did, but basically, if laughter was the one that builds infrastructure like Kenya, we would have surpassed Singapore, Dubai, UAE, and all the other countries, because we have a bunch of comedians like Mr. President. See, Singaporeans were capable of transforming a swamp into a global financial hub 30 years ago. But for us, until today, we are still busy in parliament and the president meetings and cabinet meetings, busy having discussions on how to create task forces, on how to discuss on how to create another task force. That's what we basically does. Creating reports of other reports on reports that we created. We just basically go in cycles of everything. And you still wait for us to have any development. From where is it these developments are going to come from? We are busy fixing potholes while these Singaporeans are designing their future. The president, what he's trying to do is sell the housing project narrative, which is a scam, because he doesn't even have like proper infrastructure like the people who are supposed to own the houses. Singaporeans did not focus on getting people own houses. They focused on making people's lives manageable because people can build their own houses. But our president is basically selling us the idea of the government building us houses that we pay for on public land that is owned by public. Then they sell the houses to us. I mean, how is that not a scam? Why are we... Mr. President, you said you have a PhD, but we can actually like be able to, you know, to see your game tunaionea 18. So we're not going to be like Singapore, not now, because this is just another promise that came, you know, by 2030 Kenya will be like Dubai, like Minneapolis, like Atlanta, like New York. Mr. President, stop dreaming. That time that you're wasting while you're making these speeches, you could actually use that time to work for Kenyans. You need to be in the, you know, in the field and or just rather sit in the office and work, because that's how countries are built. But you see, President Lee Kuan Yew, he can proudly look at Singapore right now, the infrastructure, the skyscrapers, and say, 30 years ago we had a plan, but in Kenya the best thing we can do is to look at a wheelbarrow and say the politicians had a 30-minute speech, because that's the best thing that we usually do. Talks that amount to nothing. That's it. So Mr. President, just sell your housing agenda, but don't fool Kenyans that we are going to be like Singapore. Not even in the next 30 years. We cannot. Until principles, integrity, and all that, and the upholding rule of law is actually a thing in Kenya, then only then we can surpass, or rather we can be close to Singapore. But from that, it's just a dream. Amko kakojoe.
Hakuna watu wanalia hii Kenya kama mama mboga na bodaboda wale walipromisiwa cabinet secretary positions, wengine wakapromisiwa maisha itatoka kutoka kwa bodaboda wawekwe kwa magari za Uber. Mulikuwa mnapimwa. Saizi sikia vile wanalia. Hawa ni watu wa boda. Hawa wanalia, ndugu yangu, hakuna ni kusaga meno. Ni siku za mwisho hizi.
Na marais wetu walituahidi. Aliahidi wa Kenya tukamwamini, tukampigia kura. Akasema maisha itakuwa sawa. Lakini solonga sasa maisha itakuwa sawa, amenunua wakubwa wetu wote. Mpaka mimi nalia, hata Francis hatuoni. Mwenye anangoja wafanyikazi, anaimba tuta. Badala ya kuimba wafanyikazi wapate kazi, yeye anaimba tuta. Tunaelekea wapi? Wakubwa wetu wamenunuliwa. Hata tulikuwa tunategemea Mlele, ameenda kwa Etangwe. Biki Maungu ameenda kwa Etangwe. Wakubwa wote wamenunua, lazima ameacha Sifuna peke yake. Ndio maana tunalia, tunataka serikali iache wazee wakae kando, wameretire. Ingechukua vijana wafanye kazi. Vijana wetu wafanye. Mimi nimesomesha watoto sasa hivi, niko na watoto wamefanya college. Bado wananitegemea kwa pikipiki. Na watu wapandi pikipiki, my friend. Watakula nini? Sasa hii angalau sisi tumekonda. Mpaka shavu zimeanza kuingia ndani juu ya serikali. Shavu ndio inaingia ndani, watu wanabomoa pesa. Hata mtu atatuahidi tu kila mara ni ahadi za uongo. Soko itauzwa, soko tuuze hapo nini? Kama mafuta iko juu. Tunalia my friend, tunalia. Na huzuni sana, na huzuni zaidi. Hata sita kusema sana, lakini na huzuni sababu vijana wanarudi kwangu kuniambia, kiongozi, hatuna hata kitu ya kuingia nao nyumbani. Unajua hapo nyuma vijana wanakuwa wanaingia hata kaunga, kasukari, nini. Hata wengi wanalalamika, hata wanaogopa kuingia nyumbani. Hata jana mgeni ananiambia nimsaidie, so anaogopa watoto watamkuna mikono. Unaweza kaa 3 hours kwa barabara ndio ubebe mtu mmoja. Tunaota tu jua, tunashindwa sasa hii serikali inatupeleka wapi? Sasa hii jua tuliambiwa ni bottom ilikuwa ni kutuinua ama kuturudisha sisi chini. Tunashangaa hii Rwanda haikuangi hivi, watu wanakuanga wamejaa. Biashara zimerudi chini. Sababu hata unaweza kuwa na biashara na itembei. Sababu bodaboda ikipata fedha, matatu ipate fedha, ndio utapata kwamba hata sokoni ule mama atauza mahindi, atauza sukari, atauza majani. Lakini Rwanda hii kumekuwa tuna maneno njaa imeua vijana. Vijana hata wameshindwa watafanya nini? Tutasaidika serikali kama itaangalia vijana. Serikali imesahau vijana. Serikali wanajali wazee wa miaka kama 90. Lakini sisi vijana kuanzia 40, 30, 50 tuna shida. Na ndio tuko na watoto wengi sana. Unapata mtu kwa watoto wawili college, mwingine ako secondary, mwingine ako primary. Sasa unashindwa watoto wako barabarani, hata Zaire wako nyumbani wamekaa, unashindwa watakula nini? Hata wanaomba mwagoba kuingia nyumbani juu watoto wanakuza baba umebewa, hakuna kitu. Sasa naomba tu serikali kama hii, mzee Ruto anasikia tu vizuri kweli na anajali tu kweli mtu wa chini kabisa, kweli kabisa na anajali wananchi wa Kenya, na anajali kweli mwananchi ndiye anapiganga kura kweli kabisa. Kwa nini wanatutesa na sisi tunapiganga kura saa 11 tuko kwa station, tunaenda kupiga kura saa 10 saa 9, alafu wakishaingia huko mbele wanatusahau.
Biashara ukifanya hata kutoka nyumbani kufika hapa ni 100, kurudi ni 100, hakuna kitu tunapata ndani. Sasa tunaona mafuta watupandishia sana.
Kwangu nitasema hivi, hii serikali tukisema ati tutataka mabadiliko kwa hii serikali tutakuwa tunajidanganya, kwa maana imetuangusha mahali pengi. Ukiangalia through demonstration, hii serikali haitaki. Hata sijui wanataka waandamane style gani ndio waridhike, mimi sielewi. Kwa maana any kind of demonstration, hii serikali inakunyamazisha vibaya, haina utu. Kenya ningelipendelea Wakenya wetu, Wakenya wenzangu wa hekima wanaopenda Kenya yetu ikuwe nchi ya heshima ya kupendeza. Lazima 2027 tuamke vizuri, tuchukue kura, tupige kura, hii serikali itoke.
Ruto was sworn in as the president on the 13th of September 2022, and in the last 3.5 years, here's all the corruption cases that have happened that you may have conveniently forgotten about. 791 million Kenya shillings NYS scandal to mostly involves the same old procurement issues, falsified documents. But here's the sad part, that $791 million, that's the least amount of money that has been lost to corruption ever since this guy came into power. It gets worse. Check this out. 3.7 billion shillings KEMSA scandal. Flawed procurement processes for 10.2 million treated mosquito nets. Following the scandal, President William Ruto sacked Health Principal Secretary Joseph Mburu, suspended KEMSA CEO Terry Ramadhani, and dismissed the entire KEMSA board in May 2023. Nobody was jailed nor prosecuted. Nobody was hanged. Nobody was tried in a court of law. Nothing. No verdict, no punishment. Everybody went away scot-free with suspensions, and everyone forgot about it, and everybody became rich. 3.5 billion shillings fertilizer scandal. I'm sure you all remember that one. Reports and testimonies indicated that some of the bags contained soil, sand, and animal waste. Nigga, mlekewa mafi na mchanga, and they call that fertilizer, and everybody forgot about it. Over 1.6 million Kenyans face starvation and food scarcity. You know the funny part? These counties and these people who always face starvation are these stupid people from Baringo and Bomet County, the counties that give the most votes to this person, and they'll still vote for him. 16.5 billion shillings fake seed oil scandal. The Kenya National Trading Corporation was meant to facilitate the importation of edible oils to reduce price of citizens. Instead, a local firm was able to secure 1.1 billion shillings tender to supply edible oils without following proper tender procedures, contributing to over 16.5 billion shillings in losses. The scandal involves top government officials in the Ministry of Finance and Trade. I don't know, man. Who knows where Moses 16 billion shillings NSSF fund. NSSF improperly paid taxes to Kenya Revenue Authority despite being a tax-exempt entity, failing to recover the funds and causing lost interest of retirees. I want this to sink in. NSSF as an organization is not mandated to pay taxes to the KRA, but for some weird reason, they did it to the tune of 16.5 billion shillings, and everybody forgot about it. Pensions are lost, and no arrests are made, and nothing. It all was swept under the rug. 104.8 billion shillings SHA scandal. Let's not confuse this 2024 SHA scandal with the one that happened a few weeks ago. Those are two different things. We'll get to that in a minute. And here's my favorite one. $13 billion Ketraco scandal. You may know this one as the Adani deal that went astray. Let me ask you guys a question. Do you think just because the Kenyan government withdrew from that Adani deal that no fines were paid? I mean, this is common sense. You signed contracts. You need to honor the contracts. You pay penalties for not honoring the contracts. Kenya still paid something to the tune of 5 billion shillings because they breached the contract between the Adani Corporation and the Kenyan government. So in as much as you beat your chest and thumping that, oh, we did not do the Adani deal, we still lost some money. 5.3 billion shillings was still gone. 44.8 billion shillings e-citizen scandal. And finally, the most recent one, 11 billion shillings SHA scandal. Not to be confused with the 100 billion shillings 2024 scandal. In total, give or take, Kenya has lost around 250 billion shillings ever since Ruto's administration came into power. But here's the funny part. These 200 billion shillings is still nowhere near the 200 billion shillings lost on one scandal in 2014 called the Eurobond scandal under the Uhuru government. Here's the funny thing about Kenyans. Despite Uhuru being involved in the Eurobond scandal in 2014, you people still gave this nigga a second chance. You people still queued twice to vote for that guy in 2017. So in as much as Nasemanga, oh, one time Ruto must go, I don't fucking trust you, because if your bar was so low to the point that you can vote someone who was involved in the Eurobond scandal in 2014. You voted twice just to prove a point that you want to punish Raila. Why the fuck will I trust you people to not vote for him again? Mark my words, every single loser who voted for this guy in 2022 is going to do the same in 2027. This guy has a cult following. This guy has loyal worshippers. This guy has people who literally kiss his feet. Everyone who voted for 2022 for this guy is going to vote for him in 2027. People do not learn from mistakes. I hate to be that guy, but I just gotta say it. In as much as we like to complain that there's a lot of corruption in this regime, make no mistake about it. Uhuru's regime had very, very worse corruption, and you guys gave him 2 terms. You guys voted for him 3 times, and I will never forgive you for that. So I don't trust you people. I really don't.